20 days to the presidential elections. The clock on your screen is counting down towards one of the most anticipated moments in our nation's history. After over 100 years of Nigeria's existence, many look for the ideological or philosophical existence in the posturing of political parties, and some have wondered if there are any clear-cut lines in the verbal or sometimes written declarations. The manifestos, though neatly packaged in sensational and differently colored packages, they attempt to represent just such a case. Good evening and welcome to Nigeria 2015. I am Neota Igbe. In the midst of the dancing in colorful attires at rallies, politicians appear not to leave anything to chance. But will the politicians refrain from actions that can stoke fire? Or will they adopt a test for all their policies? Will the parties live up to the manifestos, or is it a matter of personal interest in a juicy and profitable political panorama? Is the electorate asking the right questions or making the right demands? Right from the adoption of the Clifford Constitution of 1922, the Nigerian political space has been littered with the emergence of political parties wanting to offer electoral choices in a bid to capture and exercise the powers that control the Nigerian state. In 2015, as our country journeys towards the all-important polls and campaigns heat up with efforts to harvest votes, what are the promises they have made? Are they realistic? What will these parties do differently to radically change the trajectory? Where is their program of action? As we give some background, in the party manifestos, not even the electoral umpire is spared, as INEC has commenced the scheduled field testing of the smart card readers across 12 states, registration areas, that's the wards, in 12 states of the federations. But some voters continue to search for and demand for their permanent voters' cards. We will link up with some of our correspondents across the country in Kano. That's Maria Bird will be talking to us from Washington, D.C. on what the political atmosphere is. Jibrin will be speaking to us from Kano. And we'll also have Gilbert talking to us from Niger. But just before we move forward, we have in the studio one of our correspondents, Seun Okimbaloye, who was in the field to monitor what it was like to have the card reader tested. Hello, Seun.
Thank you, Nata.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure coming on the show.
Yes, indeed. But tell us, what was it like out there on the field with the card readers being tested?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. You know, there's been a lot of controversy. I would say that the card reader is the latest baby of the commission. And, you know, like a baby, a new born baby, it gives some headache, it doesn't sleep at night, and it gives you, the baby cries at night. The baby's day is slightly different from the adult's day. So for INEC, the headache is there, and they are trying to live with it. And perhaps it's just a response to the kind of controversy that has been generated by the permanent, the card readers that brought about this issue of let's test it, let's have Nigerians go to the field to say, okay, this is how it works, this is how better it can work. So today what we saw across the 12 states of the Federation, actually, there are 2 states picked in each of the geopolitical zones. Exactly. Yeah. Of course, we know we have 6 geopolitical zones. In Southwest, it was Lagos and Ekiti State. Yeah. In the North Central, it was Nasarawa State and, of course, Niger State. And the northeast of the country, it was Bauchi and Taraba State, and for the south is Delta State and River State. So we have all of these states to do what we call a model for what it should look like. Okay,
for you you were in Lagos, you went around Lagos to see what it was like. What was the experience like?
Yeah, the experience is quite interesting. The turnout is not as impressive as INEC itself would want to envisage, but the highs of the international and the local observers was on the process. We saw a couple of them come into the arena to look at what is happening. So it gives you a sense of, are we really in an election mood? Because what you usually see in the morning, the frenzy, the pressure of logistics, we saw It's not as much as an election morning, but
Okay.
then as early as 8 a.m., we saw people moving materials just like you will
Like
see in
an
an election.
election
So
period.
naturally,
And
Nigerians
what would you say was the mood of the electorate as they were coming in there?
well, it's light. Some people don't even know what was happening. So some people were just passing and said, "What's happening?" They said,
Yeah.
it's a mock accreditation exercise that we're having. So,
Okay.
that's what's happening. Some people branched. Some people just walked past.
And so there were no incidents?
No major incidents.
All right. Thank you so much, Shehu.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, for you back at home, the web team has provided several platforms for you to air your views on the show. First, you can tweet at us using the hashtag Nigeria2015 at Channels TV and at Neota Igbe. But for those who are still wondering about the PVC's, March the 8th is a deadline set for the collection of the permanent voter cards. So we ask those of you on Twitter to tell us if you have collected your PVC or not. You can tweet using the hashtag PVC collected if you have collected yours, and PVC not collected if you have not collected. Don't forget to use the hashtag Nigeria2015. And if you have comments or questions of more than 140 characters, send us an email to Nigeria2015 at channelstv.com. You can also send us pictures or videos of events around you concerning the elections. Use our Eyewitness platform. Just download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows devices. Swipe and follow the instructions. Tonight on the show, we have joining us to discuss their manifesto. The Remi Shonaya, of the presidential candidate of the core party, will be joining us. And we have some other representatives from the National Conscience Party and the People's Democratic Party joining us to discuss their manifesto. But talking about manifesto, these different political parties, besides the APC and the PDP, that have talked about their manifesto, there are several other parties as well that have come forth to say they have something to offer to the nation. We'll be looking at some of these other parties. One of them is COA, the National Conscience Party, and the Labour Party. Let's look at what these parties have focused on in preparing their manifesto and what they have to offer the Nigerian electorate. Let's begin with the COA party, with their motto, "Together we make a difference." What they say, that together as a people, will make a difference. Let's see what they are focusing, what their manifesto will be focusing on. According to them, there are 5 giant vices disturbing Nigeria. They talked about ignorance, injustice, imperfect union, bad governance, and insecurity. That's what the COA party is intending to look at. 5 major points: ignorance, injustice, imperfect union, and security. What are some of the things? And for the Labour Party, they're looking at, they say, forever, forward ever, backward never. But in moving forward and not turning back, what are the areas they're going to be looking at? To empower the working class, bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, improve the health and education sector of the country. 3 focal points. That's what they'll be looking at as they move along. That's what they're hoping to offer. The National Conscience Party, and their motto says, abolition of poverty. To abolish poverty. That is their major drive. What would they be looking at? Nationalization of the commanding height of the economy. That's their major selling point. That's what they say they're going to be looking at as they move forward. But let's go back again to the PDP slogan, power to the people. Power, their slogan. But what is it that they're going to be looking at in terms of their manifesto, their focal point, restructuring Nigeria in the spirit of true federalism, development of agriculture? Now, this is what are the things that the PDP says they're going to be looking at: true federalism and agriculture as a mainstay of the nation's economy. But looking at these parties and the things they have to offer, is this what the Nigerian nation needs? How are they going to deliver on these promises or these focal points that they've chosen to focus on? We'll bring them into the studio to talk with us and tell us how they're going to do that in a moment after the break.